Today I'm so excited. Doris has come to talk to us about many different things, but one, Florida-Friendly Landscaping. And Doris is dear to my heart. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. I was wondering if you could take a moment and introduce yourself and tell our people out there who you are and what all the many things that you do.
Okay, thanks for having me, Dietta, number one. It's really exciting being here and talking about my program. My name is Doris Heitzmann. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator with the Florida-Friendly Landscaping program, which is a program of the University of Florida, IFAS Extension. And the extension offices are throughout the 67 counties in Florida, actually throughout the United States, but the University of Florida does have extension offices throughout the 67 counties.
Well, I can tell you that Doris has helped me on many different occasions. She's actually come out to my properties. She walked around with me in the heat of the day. She'll help you with all different kinds of issues that you might have on your property, and she's a wealth of knowledge. And I'm so grateful that you're here today. So if you could take a few minutes and explain to us, what is Florida-Friendly Landscaping?
Okay, may I back up a little and talk about extension first?
Oh,
because
yes.
the Florida-Friendly Landscaping program is a program of the University of Florida out of the extension office. And we are located in Largo. And then we do have two satellite offices, one in Brooker Creek Preserve in Tarpon Springs, and the other one is Weeden Island Preserve in St. Petersburg. So the main location is in Largo, where I work out of. And the Florida-Friendly Landscaping program is a program that educates homeowners, in my case, community associations, on Florida-friendly landscaping principles, which is, in a nutshell, protecting water resources. And the tools, it's a concept, the tools that are provided through that program, that's what I teach the communities, how to use these tools to protect water resources.
Well, I want to say something about the Extension Service. I was fortunate enough to live in Seminole, Florida, and I visited the Extension Service many years ago, 20, 30 years ago, and it was just an eye-opener. I love that place, and I just recently went back, and it is gorgeous. The botanical gardens are there, the Extension Service is there. They'll help you with so many different things. You can just walk in with a leaf and they'll help you determine if you've got a problem with your plants. You can email them a picture of a plant. They'll help you determine what kind of plant it is. They'll help you with diseases, bug problems, and it's just wonderful. I love it. And it's not just because I'm a gardener. I just love that it's there, and many people don't even know it's there. Now, a lot of our podcast listeners will be out of the state of Florida. So as Doris said, probably a lot of the states have the same ability. Is that true to you?
Yes, all states do have an extension service. Many people don't know about it.
Yeah.
It might not be that you do have a county extension, but there are many regional extension services throughout the county that people can utilize and go to.
So even if you're a homeowner and you're taking care of your own lawn and you just want to know how to do it, it's just a wealth of knowledge. And even if you're not in the state of Florida, I'm sure that you could call our extension service and they'll be able to help us to see if there's any in their states or anything that can help them. Because a lot of the general idea is the same, pretty much. So Florida-friendly, let's talk about that a little bit and how it affects maybe even community associations, because a lot of our associations are homeowners associations and they're also condominium associations. And I know there's some laws that govern Florida-friendly. I know that the law says that communities within the state of Florida have to allow Florida-friendly landscaping. So can you tell us how a community association should approach Florida-friendly landscaping?
Yeah, the statute was put in place actually 9 years ago, exactly 9 years ago, June of 2009. And it's the statute that allows homeowners to put in a landscape that they can maintain, and that is also, again, protecting water resources. And this is the Florida-Friendly Landscaping Statute that is really there to protect the environment. And the homeowner association, and that is my best advice, that they come up with guidelines. So if they do have a certain style, a certain look that they want to protect, that they come up with guidelines that the homeowners can tap into before they really start re-landscaping anything. The biggest problem is that if communities grow and there are mature trees, a landscape that worked at the beginning when the landscape was developed or the community was developed, that might not work 20 years later because trees mature. The root system of trees don't allow, in many cases, grass growing on the roots or over the roots, and because the roots of the tree are competitive, they compete with the roots and for nutrients with the grass, and the grass will lose the battle. And then also shade. I mean, most grasses need, or actually all grasses need at least 6 hours of sun. So if the homeowner decided, well, I'm going to back to that grass, he will fail again because, again, the environment is not really suitable for that kind of landscape that was there originally. What happens then is very often that the community association, either the board members or the property managers, they drive around and they write them or give them a nasty note and say, a warning, you need to get your landscape up to speed, it's not good looking anymore. And this is where the problems come in. And then if you use the Florida-friendly landscaping for saying, well, my landscape is Florida-friendly, it's not that simple. You've got to follow some guidelines. And the most important part really is that the landscape is not only determined by what the homeowner wants, which would be nice, but if, again, the HOA comes up with some guidelines, let's say an X amount of mulch is only allowed. You cannot only use mulch in the front yard. You need to use, I don't know, 50% maybe ground covers and 20% of this material. Rain barrels are allowed, but maybe you cannot have it in the front yard. It should be in the backyard or the side yard. So this can all be in the HOA guidelines so that the homeowner doesn't need to go through this whole process of figuring out what he can do and cannot do. It really should come from the HOA.
So Doris has a good point there, and what's so important here is, and this is my thought is, if an association does not have guidelines, they put themselves in a position where they cannot enforce it. If they don't have guidelines to tell a homeowner what they can use, then they're kind of open to anything that's Florida friendly. So we really need to do that as an association, set those guidelines for Florida friendly. Now, Doris, is there a difference between Florida friendly and Florida native?
Yes, there is. A Florida friendly landscape really is the concept that I talked about, the 9 principles of Florida friendly landscaping. And it starts out with the right plant in the right location. Now you would say, well, if I use a native plant, that's happy in any situation. Native plants are really highly recommended because they really recreate an ecosystem that was here before. However, the same principle applies for the native plants, that you use the right plant in the right location. So let's say a plant really needs a moist situation. It needs to be close to a body of water. You cannot stick that in a sandy front yard and plant it there and expect it to be thriving and good looking and being successful. So native plants, yes, but keep in mind, right plant, right place, same concept.
So you could have a Florida friendly plant that isn't really a native, but it's adapted to Florida and does well? Is that the thought?
Yes, the term Florida friendly plant really is that a plant is only Florida friendly if it's in the right place. Okay. So if you say Florida friendly plant, yes, it looks like a good plant to me, but if you put it in full shade but it craves for full sun, it's not Florida friendly.
So if I was a brand new homeowner, especially here in Florida, because I made the mistake of even changing zones and within the state of Florida, moving from Seminole to Dade City, totally different zones. You know, one's tropical, one has a lot more freezes. What would be my first step if I was a new homeowner or even a property manager and I wanted to set, some specifications or do some plantings? How do I investigate this to find out what is the right plant for the right place?
Well, first of all, again, I would utilize the extension office. See if you have a Florida-friendly landscaping agent there who can help you. Then some counties like Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, and Pasco, we do have 3 agents specializing in, or coordinators, Florida-friendly landscaping coordinators, specializing in working with community associations. So I'm doing this for many, many years, and what I do is if I get calls, if people contact the extension office, I talk to them and I say, I can come out and look at the site, I can evaluate what's there, I can give you input on maintenance practices, because many of the landscape failures occur through improper landscape maintenance practices, and then I make suggestions for if they want to put in a new landscape. And again, there are tools. We do have good books. We have literature that really guides you, like the plant guide, the Florida-Friendly Landscaping Guide for Plant Selection. That's a great guide that's available. That can either you can order it online or you can get it through the extension office through me. And then I come and teach. I mean, we offer classes out of the extension office, out of our satellite offices as well. We take the show on the road, so we had just 2 weeks ago a class in St. Petersburg with the Water Resources Department who we partner with. And we teach, so learning from the educator on site, that's one way. Material, landscape material, not landscape material, books and literature. And then again, attending classes, workshops. And we also, as you know, probably Dietta, or remember that we teach tri-county workshops specifically for property managers and board members, once or twice a year.
Yes, and also I was thinking, so if I was going to set some specifications, you would be, if we emailed them to you, you would be able to look over the specifications and see what you think about them. You would be willing to help us.
Sure.
That would be great. I think a lot of managers and people who have dealt with Florida Friendly, sometimes they seem to intimidate us because they're not always the clean-cut association look that we're looking for. Mm-hmm. So that's even more of a reason to set those specifications, because there are some very Florida-friendly nice plants out there that we could choose ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And also what I have done on many communities, I have actually done a few sample gardens to see if they thrive in that area too. So there's a lot of different ways that we can do that.
Right, and I also want to mention that expectation sometimes is that I come out there and I do design work. I don't do that. I'm an educator. I want to empower people to make their own decisions and to learn the concept. And also, there's always the option, if you feel overwhelmed, if you think, I know the idea of the whole concept, I know how to go about it, but I cannot really execute it myself. There are many good professionals out there who can help you design, consult with. And again, if they bring something back and I say, you know, I would maybe steer away from this kind of design, or I would maybe look into other plant material because there's a problem maybe with this plant right now, I'm glad to review this. So once you have something going, you can show me something, I'd be glad to review anything you bring me. If it's the guidelines, if it's the landscape design, if it's a plant list, I'd be glad to work with homeowner associations.
Which is wonderful for associations. They don't even know that's available to them, which I think is a great educational thing available to us. What about irrigation systems? Of course, everything needs water. Doris has helped us on many communities implementing an irrigation system, which we actually did a podcast on earlier. So Doris, talk to us about watering these Florida-friendly plants.
Okay. The irrigation system is the big, I should say, unknown, or something people are not really crazy about discussing or talking about or looking at. But it is one of the most important issues in a landscape. And what I see, and since I work in a built-out county, I don't see many new developments and new irrigation systems. I see old irrigation systems. And these old systems, they are really way beyond their lifespan and functionality. And people neglected them for many years, and that is an issue. So before you put in any new landscape, the first thing to look at really is the irrigation system. Is it functioning? How is it functioning? Pressure, heads, are they pointing into the right direction? Are they really efficient? Is the landscape still fit that irrigation system, or is the irrigation system made for that original landscape? So many issues with irrigation systems really prevent the landscape from being irrigated properly. And the other issue is that runoff, broken heads, heads that are blocked from a tree or from a plant that cannot really reach the landscape, and the water is running off. And also, hand in hand with a faulty or not really properly functioning irrigation system is the runoff that it can create. So if a landscape doesn't receive the water, it's more running off because of overwatering or misdirected sprinkler heads. Not only are you wasting a precious resource, you are also creating runoff, polluted runoff, because you have to imagine everything that the water finds to take with it, if it's fertilizers, herbicides, other chemicals, car oils from driveways, cigarette butts, candy wrappers, it all goes into our stormwater system, which is really not good. It creates pollution.
So one thing about irrigation that I have seen on associations over the years is associations get sticker shock. So their landscaper will come in and tell them, your irrigation system is out of date, you need this, you need that, and then they get the bid to repair it and they literally go into sticker shock. So what I would recommend is for associations to take that bid and actually take it for real and start budgeting in your reserves to maybe even do sections at a time. Do a 5-year plan, because it is so much. Sometimes the association will receive it in the middle of a budget and it's tens of thousands of dollars, because like you said, they're all old systems. But it's probably one of the best investments an association can do, because it's going to help your landscaping, it's going to save you money in the long run, and I can say that that's one of the areas where I say associations do not invest in where they should. So I agree with you about that. Hopefully we can just get associations to do it at least even in phases. I think that would help. Also earlier we talked, we had a podcast about the irrigation, the new timers and sensors that we put on the whole system. So there's a lot of technology out there today where you can turn zones on from your cell phone, which is awesome. A property manager drives by, one of their corner of their property and sees that something needs water, they can literally put it up on their phone and water right then, which is great. Because sometimes things do require extra water out of nowhere. It may just be a drought during that time.
Right.
So, what else would you like to have the homeowners and property managers know?
Well, let me look at my cheat sheet here. You just mentioned the soil moisture sensors, I think you were going to, or the ET controllers. That's another really big issue that we are pushing, because first of all, it's required by law to have at least a rain sensor. The same law in 2009 came into place, and it includes that you need to have a rain sensor, or better a soil moisture sensor, that overrides your irrigation system if it had rained enough. So that's really something that many associations and homeowners are not aware of. So you've got to have something that stops the irrigation system or doesn't let it come on if it had rained sufficiently a few days or the day before.
So that law is for community associations and individual homeowners?
It is for every automatic irrigation system. It does not matter if it's on a public building, on a business, in a homeowner association, common areas, or homeowner property. It does not matter. It depends on the automatic irrigation system. It does need to have that device.
And one of the things that I have experienced over the years is a lot of the rain sensors, the early on rain sensors, malfunctioned. They just did. I will say that the new technology out there is far more advanced, and they're a lot better.
And reliable, much more reliable.
So I know a lot of us out there have that attitude as, I'm not spending money on those, they just fell. But you might want to talk to your landscapers about that.
Yeah, either landscapers or maybe even talk to irrigation contractors.
Yeah,
they're really specialized on putting these in and to maintain them.
That's a great idea. Would you mind talking to us, we're going to just touch real quick on trimming certain preserves in certain areas that are kind of restricted. I know a lot of times we just send our landscapers out and say, oh, trim that over there, or trim that. First of all, I know that you probably highly recommend that we use arborists. Is that correct?
Yes, certified arborists.
Okay, and those arborists know what and when and how they should trim things. I've seen many associations get fined because they were trimming or cutting down mangroves or certain areas that are protected. And if you're new to managing an association, you need to familiarize yourself with what is protected and what's not.
Right, and you cannot just cut down a tree either. I mean, if you do have a tree that you think, gosh, this is really getting too big, it's in my way, it provides too much shade, I would like to have sun there, you cannot just cut down a tree. There are tree ordinances and tree codes that you really need to follow depending where you are in the county, within unincorporated county or city. You got to check that out first. So you cannot just cut down any tree that you don't feel you want to have it anymore. The mangroves, same thing. You cannot just go in there because you want to have the water view or access to the water and cut down mangroves. That's another big no-no. You need to hire somebody who has a certification, who is an arborist, has a certification to cut mangroves. It's a special certificate that you need to have to touch mangroves. And they know exactly how much to prune, how to prune, and it's really important that these guidelines are followed.
I agree. I've seen many associations get fined because they did those things. They took down trees and didn't realize you needed a permit. So if you take down a tree without a permit, you'll have to put up quite a few other trees to, get yourself out of hot water. So make sure you familiarize yourself. And if you have a good arborist and a good licensed landscaper, they will know these things. So another certification that is required, is it all the state of Florida or just Pinellas County that requires the, I know many counties require certifications for landscapers. I know some of the counties in Pinellas County require that landscapers have a is it Better Management, BMP?
It's GIBMP. There are different certifications that the county also provides and is asking for, Pinellas County. But the GIBMP, which stands for Green Industries Best Management Practices, that's required throughout the state if you work commercially and apply fertilizers in the state.
So that's the state of Florida. So all the communities within the state of Florida. Now I have mandated on the associations that I manage that the landscapers do have that certification before they're even allowed to enter. Because I think especially you don't realize if you have an HOA, especially how much the individual landscapers affect even the common area. If you have lakes, if you don't have landscapers that know what they're doing, they can put runoff into your lakes that could cause a lot of problems. So that certification really educates them. It educates them on how to trim trees, how to not blow your grass into the lakes, all different runoffs. So it's a great education. I also recommend that property managers go and get that certification. You can do it online, but the education is just fantastic.
Well, we have at Extension, since we do have more than just FloridaFriendly Landscaping, there is the commercial horticulture agent who teaches these classes to the commercial landscapers. So if you ever need more information, that would be our commercial horticulture agent, also available out of the Extension office in Largo.
Doris, can you take a minute and explain to us what's the best way to get to you now that everybody wants to call you and get all your information?
Okay, the easiest way would be the website. So you go to PinellasCountyExtension.org. So it's PinellasCountyExtension.org. And then you're on the main website, and there is a menu button on the right upper side. It's called Burger, 3 lines, so it looks like a burger. So you click on that, and then you have all the programs that we are offering out of Extension. And go to FloridaFriendly Landscaping, click on that, and then here you are. You have our website, the services we offer, who we are, so you find all the information there.
And they can get through to you through that link too?
Yes, they can go through that, but I can also glad to give my right now my email address, it's D, like Doris, Heitzmann, HEITZMANN @pinellascounty.org. So
And of course, we'll have it at camresource.info. We'll have a link to get to you directly to.
Very good.
Well, Doris, we have enjoyed having you here so much. Would you be willing to come back and talk to us about some more in detail? Because there's so much stuff, and I know we don't want to keep people too long because they have a busy schedule, but maybe you'll come back and talk to us.
I would love to. Thank you very much.
Thank you.